I don't really know the correct year, but I think in this story, I think that's the least thing. I think that's the last thing that actually matters in this whole story. Although actually it's quite okay, we'll see. Anyway, so I was living in the ground, obviously, as worms do. I lived next to the River Nile, and it was the best time of my life. You had just a casual water flowing through Africa, and the occasional dead body going through it. Back in the 1700s, life wasn't up to the modern day standards of coronavirus. We hadn't hit that just yet, but life was still good. And it was enjoyable being a worm. Now, obviously, you had to face certain challenges being a worm. One of those, obviously, getting food. Now, you're quite small when it comes to being a worm, so you have to just make sure that you're keeping an eye out for bigger monster animals like a rabbit or something. I don't know what rabbits eat, but maybe it was a worm. I really don't know what rabbits are like when it comes to eating. Potentially giraffes, with their massive feet in Africa, you gotta watch out. Polar bears, maybe. Although I now I think about it, I don't think they would. Really be in Africa, but who knows what's going on in the 1700s. Anyway, back to the actual story. So I had a mission. Now, what you have to know with this worm life is it's all about dominance. You have to show you're dominant in a certain situation. You have to be the alpha worm. That is the crucial part to this. There's two clans. You had the Kulus worms, which was your upper class worm. You had the proper mud, if you get what I mean, right? The proper mud. And then you had the Uchis worms, which they were quite poor. They had bit of tarmac in their dens. I mean, who knows what they kept? But I was an upper worm because in my past life, being a I don't know, I can't remember what I was, to be honest with you, but I was something great. I think, maybe I was a pheasant. I don't really know, because, pheasants are pretty dumb. That's why you go for a pheasant to worm. I don't know. That's for another day. But that's not really the story of where we're going today. So now, in this, you have to make sure that you're looking out for the opposite worms now, because they are dangerous things. Okay, you have to be careful, because if you're not, it could risk death. Obviously, that would not be ideal. I think it's fair to say, but if you die, you better hope you lived a good life. I think it's fair to say, but so I had a mission, which was to go to the worms, basically the noob of the worms, right? The absolute pelicans, the idiot worms, right? And I had to get some intelligence for a further mission we were doing a bit further along into the day. On the way there, I had to take on various challenges. I had to go through grass. I had to watch out for dildos. No, diddos. What are those dinosaurs? I don't know. Dildo, I think. I don't even know. Something. The dinosaur of Ark. I can't think what it's called. But yeah, so we had to make sure we were keeping an eye out for them, because they obviously, terrible, terrible creatures. And you just have to be aware of your surroundings. And so that was my mission, to get some intelligence, but be careful along the way, because who knew what was around the corner? I didn't know what was going around the corner. Anyway, so when we begin, now I obviously had to tackle some dangerous creatures in my lifetime, being a worm.
I'm back.
Yeah, so I leave out of the shell. I head to the left. There's this little path where you can see this medieval alien thing just looking at me, and you think, I'm dead, mate. And I say, game over. But no. You see, that is not how life works.
Go
around here,
I don't know how much
we look to the best of people when it comes to being worms. We are the upper worms, you see. We have the dominance over many, many creatures, such as the beetle. Our worm, the fascinating creature. And I'm just making sure, really, that we don't get attacked by any humans. So when I saw this human, I had to quickly get onto the grass, make sure I wasn't in the way of the human, because
The grass actually 2
it's
seconds
by
before.
human. You know, it's not going to be a nice feeling. I think it's fair to say. Anyway, moving on. So obviously, being in Africa, there were many black people.
What did I come
You
back
just
to?
had to be careful with them, because
listen.
who knows
Just listen.
what they were up to. I mean, back in the 1700s, racism was a thing, and that's what people
So
have
worms
to
were
realise.
racist. That's what you're
It wasn't
saying.
a
Worms
case
were
of,
built to be racist.
you
That's
just
what
wake
you're
up
claiming.
one day and you kill someone, the N-word. I mean, obviously, me being a worm, I couldn't exactly do that to them, but it was always on the radar to just make sure nothing extreme happens while
Baker
on the
and
move.
Balder did this in next lap.
Obviously, there were different coloured worms, but we let it slide. Okay, we were generous like that, unlike the human population. Anyway, back to the story of Africa. We head down the path. Living life took me a good few hours.
What the fuck?
And then all hell basically broke loose as I was approaching a crossing. There, right in front of me, stood the creature we feared the most. The creature that told us why we were a worm. The creature that basically ruined our entire childhood. I'm still afraid of this creature now. It gives me nightmares. The terrible butterfly. This creature was something you just don't see every day. It is a fascinatingly, terrifyingly, scary-looking thing that people mistake to being this wonderful creature. It really is not. And I think it's quite nasty. People actually give it the credit that they do, because in reality, a butterfly, dangerous, mate. They are dangerous things. And well, I don't really know what more to say. They are just so deadly. They are deadly things, And it's sad, really. It really is sad that I've come to this conclusion that butterflies are deadly, but they still haunt me from this exact interaction. I see this butterfly, and I think, oh no, that's it. I'm going to be an ant for the rest of my life. And I see him come down to me. I look up. I pray to the baby Jesus. He was looking down on me. And I think, this is it. This is it. This is where all my lives turn bad. And the butterfly grabs me from the bottom by the shell of the worm. Because worms are quite intelligent these days. You have to remember, time has moved on.
How did you
And he
grab
chucked me
it?
in the air. He grabs me. He whistled my body around, the ice scraping across my chin and bone. And then down we went, down
what?
past the Nile River.
Why is Luke
And
out of
boom,
session?
we just landed in the United Kingdom.
Luke is out of
he
session.
crashed
I
out.
just
He
gone into a
crashed out.
coma.
Oh, no.
And the butterfly just taken me there. It was
So it was a 9-way shootout.
absolutely wonderful. In being a coma is so underrated. You get to just sleep for hours, and it's such a good time. It really is. Oh,
Give him his
honestly,
pose again.
it was so peaceful. You just don't care what's happening. Anyway, so we go back into the UK. The butterfly drops me off at his lair, and you can see all the other butterflies. You got
It's
witches
lair.
in there.
Lair.
You got the alien butterflies, the I don't know, the caterpillars ready to become a butterfly. Is that actually a thing? I can't remember. Is
Yes.
the caterpillars into butterfly?
Yep. Yes, it is, George.
He's googling.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's a caterpillar to a butterfly. Yes, it is indeed.
I got so
Oh, no, it's
scared I
not. It's a
disconnected.
Oh no.
Disconnected in the
Wait,
same,
oh no, that's just fake. Anyway,
all
so
session the same.
we I say hello to the butterflies, and they give me a cheeky spank, and I leave. I leave red-handed. But now the thing with being in the year 1728 was, there was a thing going round, and it was called the Black Death, the plague. This obviously was a quite a scary time for certain people. I'm not going to name names, but Mr. Thomas Harvey, he was a bit scared of the plague, back in his pheasant days. But it was a difficult time back in the United Kingdom. That obviously the plague really came from rats. Now, obviously, being a worm, you're quite muddy. You know, you live in the soil. Yeah, well, me, I got my fresh soil. Just bragging rights there. But that was the case of how it goes. You know, you think you love someone and you don't. You know, I think I love mud. I don't. I just don't, mate. But again,
I agree.
that's just how it went.
You're not a
Sometimes.
mudworm.
Now, obviously, the plague is dangerous. You know, I don't think we can deny that. I don't think anyone can. To be completely brutally honest with you, I just don't think it's possible, man. I just don't think it's possible. But you know, I think that story is for another day. But taking on the plague now, I guess you all have heard how the plague or the Black Death really ended. And now I do have a okay, I just found out the Black Death was in the 1300s, so you know we're a few years out from it. But there was a Black Plague diversion too, I guess you could say. Yes, that happened. Oh, well, what a shame. Anyway, just forget about that. So the plague, you've all heard of how it ended. I can't remember how it ended, but I don't really do history. How did the Black Death end? This actually,
And it's
How
not here
did
anymore, is it?
Black Death end? The Black Death ended because the implementation of quarantines, the uninfected would typically remain in their homes and only leave when it was necessary. So, now you see, that is what the website skipperbreeds.com says.
Okay.
But now you see, this is fake because I have a different version that doesn't get told. Obviously, being a worm, you can understand why it doesn't get told. Because, I mean, who's going to believe a worm stopped the whole Black Death? I mean, come on. Come on. But I'm here to tell you the truth of how the Black Death ended and how I ended up getting the information from the scrub worms. This is how it happened. This is the truth. This is how it happened. Coming out of that butterfly layer, I was scared. I was frighteningly terrified of what was to come. Just like anybody would be. You know, you think you've seen love, and it hits you right back in the head. You know, it is just a fact at the end of the day. But it goes without saying that life is difficult, you know. It is. And it was about to get worse for many, many people. You know, many people died. Some died more than others. I mean, I don't really know how many people died in the Black Death, you know. You're a cow, you die of the Black Death. Oh, what do you happen now? You're back into a sheep and then you die again. I mean, the list goes on, you know. Considering there's only a limited number of people in the world, you know, when you put the maths into 2 and you put it into 3, yeah, it does make sense. It really does make sense. But here's the actual truth of how the Black Death ended. Being a scientist, I was the best scientist worm this world had ever seen. I mean, if you wanted to know about the Greek worms, tell me. I just know them off my. They're embedded in my worm brain. Obviously, I don't know them now because you know I'm not a worm anymore. But I mean, that honestly, good time being a worm. Really good time. How it happened then? So I come out of this butterfly layer, and right in front of me is John Cena. There he is. There he is, loving life. Now, he was a human being, you see, at this time of day, because he was actually the priest of a church. So, you can imagine his black coat, you know, he had his woolly hat on, his gloves, you know, he had everything. He was loving life, right? But, you know, he looked at me, he looked at the worm on the floor, and he was like, you are going to save this planet. And he prayed for me, man. He really did pray for me. You know, I mean, horses were there as well, but, you know, the horses didn't pray for me. It's disappointing, to be honest with you. And it's sad because he prayed for me, but he didn't make it through. Just didn't make it through. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a shame he didn't make it, but, you know, yes, I had a factor in his death, but yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as people make it out to be honest with you. Anyway, he prays for me. We shake hands. or he just taps me on the head. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. I think that part's quite vague in my memory. Obviously, having an identical memory comes a bit of a blessing in disguise, to be honest with you. And yeah, I love it. You know, I absolutely love it.
inters are getting
Some
better.
people say, is it
Apparently.
cancer? No, it's not, mate. It just really is not. So this worm, or me, I guess you could say. I was the holy worm at that point. Yeah, people praying for me. And once they prayed for me, or John Cena did, he gave me the mission of ending this. What could I do to help these people not die? Now, obviously, the answer is written in Wikipedia. Oh, quarantine. Oh, how cool is that? Fake, mate. Absolute bullcrap. What a wildy excuse. I mean, it is unbelievable. Honestly, it is just radical. I mean, who even invented quarantine? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, this is how it happened. This is the truth.
Why have I
Embrace
come
me.
back to
I see
George
people
rambling
screaming.
about
It's
random
terrible.
crap and
People
stuff?
screaming everywhere. You know, people dying in front of me. Fellow worms. James the worm. He's dead, mate.
POP, we
He's
need you
dead.
to box.
Dead. He's just dead.
Box.
Box.
It's sad.
We need to put the
Ah.
enter tire
I
on
need
the
to put the
car.
edges on.
Never forget. Never bloody forget, man.
Yeah,
I
you're
couldn't say it in
the
time.
one of two people that are
And,
still wets. Like, what are you
Yeah, it
doing?
disappoints him.
And the other one's in the pit.
So,
And the other ones are
Yeah,
well.
I'm
see,
coming
I'm
in as
seeing
quickly as
people
I
die.
can, mate. Don't you
I've been
worry.
praised for by John Cena. I mean, the world is
I don't think I've
loving
actually got
life
time to
right
get two
now.
runs in. I thought I would.
And it's
but
only
I
about to
don't
get
think I've
better.
got
Because
there.
I thought, what could I do
Well, you
to
fucked it
save
now.
these people? What could I do?
Just
You got a
back to
cut
back,
now.
Back to back.
What could I do?
It's not over. It's
And
not over.
the answer was there, right in front
Oh,
of me,
yeah, no.
the whole time. You just kill everybody. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Think about it. You've got these people who were infected with this deadly disease, right? You just kill them. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You know, look at Korea. Or I think it might be North Korea with coronavirus. You know, if you've got the infection, they just kill you. Right? You don't get a second chance, mate. So catching corona in North Korea,
My brain is
basically
getting
death. I mean, it doesn't matter
smaller
what you do, you're gonna die.
And
Even
you
if you
didn't
die
say
of the
that.
virus, yeah, that's pretty peak, but you're gonna die anyway. You might as well just catch the virus and die. I mean, what's the point? So yeah, I thought, right, we need to kill everyone then. So that was the first decision that came to my mind, was just end everybody. So this is how it went. I had a chat with John Cena.
This is like a
We had a
fever
meeting
dream.
in the
Holy
church.
shit.
He gave me a lovely pile of mud to sit on. I was a very happy boy, I was. And I said to him, look, you know, I know it's tough, but you have to kill them. You know, you don't have another option. So he did that. And one later evening, he found some TNT just lying there. And he put it, you know, he put an X on the door saying, yes, you're going to die. Anyone with an X on their front door was dead. Just like that. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned in the story is, you know, when you do these missions as a worm, you know, it's not just you going, you have other people going with you. This is where James comes in, because he was with there as well. I think many people get attacked by butterflies these days, and it's sad because who knows where you end up. But James did end up in the same part of this town, and we were working together a little bit, but he didn't get proof by any damn the chat with John Cena. So, I mean, yeah, what a scrub. But you know, we did the honors because we said to John Cena, you know, leave it to us. You've done all the hard work. We'll do the night, and we'll set this place a blow. That's what we did. You know, I did the right side, James did the left hand side, and that's just how it worked. And that was how we initiated the death or the end
Can George hear me,
of
by
the
the way?
Black Death and
Yeah.
blowing up the houses. It was
I'm going to definitely
absolutely
Tom.
fascinating.
Yep, thank you.
And then, of course, you know, you had people like Danica Patrick, you know, shielding. But I mean, too late, mate.
Hey,
You're
Tom,
gone.
can you hear me?
That was just how it goes. To be
don't
honest,
think
with
you
you.
can
And it was
hear me.
sad. But as you got all these people blowing up, you know, you have to make graveyards for them. And
George, what
CBA.
the fuck are you
So
on
basically, me and
about?
James pegged it out of there as quick as we could. Luckily, you know, we
Did
weren't
he
that fast with
unplug
the worm.
his fucking
Yeah, that
When-
was a bit of an
when-
issue.
when
But
he
it
does-
took us
when
a
he
few
does
days to
this,
get out of the
he
village,
mutes
but
everyone.
once we did, we were moving
Oh,
like
just mute
at
and
speed
remove
because we
them,
managed to
come
find a
on.
tire that we
It's been
could get
going on for
into
like
the
15
little
minutes.
nuts and bolts.
It's been
They
going on
invented
for
back
20
then.
minutes.
I don't really remember.
No.
We were just chilling on them, loving life, and then
Did
we
George actually mute everyone?
Yeah, he
died.
always does.
That was it, mate. We just died like that.
Jesus Christ.
Mate,
Um,
Owen,
I-
you
I
shouldn't have
just
called
didn't
him a
thought you
weird
didn't suck.
character.
Good God, let's just
whatever.
end them off early.
It's
Ridiculous.
all my fault.
I mean, I was happy
No
because
co-op today.
yeah,
George
that
is-
was the story of the worm.
Oh, that's it.
It was
Come on,
difficult. It was a difficult
TOP.
time.
Oh, he's PA.
Obviously, then
Oh.
what? So that was the story of the worm. That was how I ended my life as a worm. But you know, now we move on to
Oh,
my next life. Now,
Oh
this
my
creature
God, he's still going.
is a fascinating creature. You know, you have your fetus, you have your bacteria. You start off as a bacteria. That's just what you do. You know, if you're that bad at living, you go to a bloody bacteria, mate. I mean, it's ridiculous.
George
But
could do a freaking podcast
I
with this
worked
shit.
my way up. I mean, I was a worm. Obviously, I finished my worm life. Now, do you think I've done a good enough job? You know, ending the Black
Owen,
Death
are you recording?
to
No.
effectively, I've ended a pandemic, mate. I'm basically Jesus at this point. Though I'm not the
George,
superior Jesus.
Why do
I'm
you think of this stuff?
just a worm at the end of the day.
He
But
says muted.
It
He's
is what it
got you muted.
so we
stop
move on
trying
from the
to
worm.
talk to him.
Oh, he's
and we head
muted
over
everyone.
to the fascinating creature,
Why has he muted everyone?
the dragonfly.
Oh my God, Owen, move him
That
into a
creature.
different channel.
Something else, I tell you.
Mute him.
I tell you, the dragon life is something else. It is an absolutely fascinating thing to live on. I mean, it's beautiful. You know, you have some dots. You think you got dots, and it is just
Come on, TOP.
unbelievable.
TOP.
It really is just
TOP.
unbelievable.
Ah,
You
it's
can
so
go for
close.
another run, right?
In
No,
the day,
No,
Oh.
it's
Oh,
the end
no.
of
dragonfly,
Chloe.
the dragonfly. You do what you gotta do.
Wow, I did not think it was
And
that
that's what I
close.
did. That is what I bloody
Very
did.
close.
No chill. I'm the best dragonfly you'll
Yeah,
ever see.
I'm not bothered. I'll take it.
Now, dragonflies,
You'll
they
get 'em
they are a
tomorrow, won't you?
fascinating thing because
However,
they
Yanab still
They
on
are-
that, I think.
they are a dragonfly.
And he's just crashed. Brilliant.
That's what they are.
Rage quit.
You know, that is what dragonflies do.
Oh, shut the fuck up, please.
And you have to think, if you ban a dragonfly, what are you doing with your life? But no, now I need to get on the actual story of the dragonfly. So, the year 1728, I'd finished the
Right,
Black
I'm
Death.
going on F1.
I'd finished
Yeah.
being a worm.
Someone
now
that
it's a
doesn't know
dragonfly.
to start co-op.
You know, life is peak.
I'll ping him.
Life is peak. However, it didn't go very well being a dragonfly. I took one leap out of my nest and I plummeted to my death. So yeah, that was the end of the dragonfly. It did not last long, and unfortunately, Jesus didn't think I did a good enough job as a dragonfly. So would you believe it? He puts me back as a worm. A worm, mate. I've gone back to a worm because I fell out of my bloody nest. I mean, disgraceful.
believe
I know. So going back to a worm then, I unfortunately, well, fortunately actually, yeah, I got put into the upper worms, the upper 6 worms, because, well, you know, you don't really go from an upper worm to a lower worm. Yeah, that's not really how it goes, to be honest with you.
Back in a second.
So I was back into the
Shut
upper worm.
up.
Now, I was based somewhere different, not in Africa. I guess he decided, yeah, I was just too good at being an African worm. So they put me in China. I was the Chinese
Where
worm.
can I make my own?
The best worm there's ever been. I tell ya. China. Bloody China. What a place. What a place. Sam Bird, he loves China, to be honest with you. But, no, I mean, that,
Can someone tell him it's
that
almost
is,
time for co-op?
that is certainly
Yeah,
true.
shut up.
Being a worm then, back to
Well, no
China.
one can because he muted us.
I was living in Suhai, near the coast, actually. And it was very nice, you know, the sun would be shining, the clouds would be breezing. And it was time for the Battle of the Worms. You know, it had been brewing quite a while.
I
Poor
messaged him.
versus the
Speaking
rich.
of
you know,
China,
a
it's
battle that
co-op
just goes
time.
on and on and on. And it is one that never stops working. These worms, they battle for the ages. This is the battle it's just how it goes. Oh, it's tremendous. The day of the battle, I remember it like it was no other. I woke up, I opened the curtain, it was tipping down with rain. The rain slashing the
Not the
pavement.
rain.
You know, the curtains, they were 5-star hotel, I'll tell you.
Where's
That's
Mr.
wonderful.
Shanaka?
Not
It
here.
really was. The rain was beautiful. It was like a scene out of Titanic. Really was. Honestly, it really was. I saw the poor coming for us. They were about a good meter away, so we had about a day to prepare, and we're just making sure, you know, we weren't going to get intimidated by these worms. So we packed our bags, we packed the mud, we were ready for battle, my friend. Now you remember how I said James died? So James,
What should we
meanwhile,
do, lads?
has been going through some tough times recently. You know, he had just lost me, being a worm for whatever reason. He didn't really know the answer why I died. He went into depression, and he fled to China. And you know, the most logical thing to do. I know. Don't get me wrong there. And he was part of the poor worms because he couldn't speak the language of Chinese, but. You know, when you're a worm, I don't think you can. So, you know, it is what it is, I guess. Oh, I could see him coming towards us from a meter away. And I thought, why? Why you? Why? Why do you do this to me? And he didn't know the answer in the end. And it was sad. You know, just seeing him come towards me from a meter away, it was upsetting, to say the least.
Sounds like George needs to write a book. At
Oi,
this point.
George!
It was really upsetting. But when the battle began, I whipped up my piece of mud, chucked it onto
Can we
my
just
nose,
kick him out of
and
the
I
channel?
whopped it left. I whopped it right. It bashed into the left and right. Having a worm, we were battling,
still
taking the
responding.
sword. I was
He's been
fleeing, I was
rambling for half
knifing
an hour.
everybody. I was the best worm we had ever seen. It was just
Kick him out of the channel.
tremendous. I mean, it could
Kick
not
him from the
have been.
Discord.
I was the best bloody
Ban
worm,
him.
mate. Yeah, I took them all on, mate. So many people died in that battle. It was
To
incredible.
his parents,
I came
not
through.
question.
I came.
Why you so from?
They just stare
I
and
was
walk
the best
away
one.
slowly.
I don't care what Peter Pan says. I'd won the battle for our side. And what a day that was. That was seriously a good day. I'd won. I hadn't just won. I had creamed the bloody competition. Oh, yeah. Noobs.
Weird
Absolute
choice
noobs,
of words,
I tell
but
ya.
okay.
Absolute noobs.
He creamed this competition.
That, my friends, is the story of the Chinese worm. Now we move on to the next animal.
No.
This animal
Are you is he not looking at the
absolutely
time?
fascinating.
I don't think he knows the time.
Yeah.
Oh, is he even going to notice he got
For
moved?
God's sake. Mate,